I would now like to call our third panel of witnesses to come forward. On our third panel, we have Dr. Stephen Sunloff, who is a director of the Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition at the Food and Drug Administration. Mr. Oscar Garrison, who is the Assistant Commissioner in the Consumer Protection Division at the Georgia Department of Agriculture. Ms. Darlene Cowart, who is the President of J. Leak Associates Incorporated, JLA. And Mr. Charles Dybel, who is President of Dybel Laboratories. It's the policy of this subcommittee to take all testimony under oath. Please be advised that you have the right, under the rules of the House, to be advised by counsel during your testimony. Do any of you wish to be advised by counsel during your testimony? Ms. Cowart?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I have counsel present today, and I do wish to be represented, please.
Okay. What counsel's name is?
Mr. Evans Plowden and his associates.
Okay. I'll have you, if you want to consult with them before you answer a question, please do.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Dybel, sorry. Dybel.
Yes, sir, I have counsel present, but they're sitting in back of me.
Could you just identify their name for the record, who they are?
Charles Dybel.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Mr. Dybel, your lawyer's name. You stated your name, I'm sorry.
Chapman.
Pardon?
Richard Chapman.
Okay, very good. Mr. Garrison, do you wish to have anybody present, counsel?
Yes, sir. I am being represented by Mr. Ted Hester of King and Spalding at the request of our Georgia Attorney General Thurbert Baker.
Okay, very good. Mr. Chappell?
Mr. Chairman, no, sir.
Okay, Dr. Sunloff?
And no, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. As I said, it's policy to take all testimony under oath. I'm going to ask you now to rise and raise your right hand, take the oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and matter pending before this committee?
Yes, sir.
Let the record reflect the witnesses replied in the affirmative. You are now under oath. We will begin with opening statements for 5 minutes. If you wish to submit a longer statement for inclusion in the record, that will be allowed. Dr. Sunloff, let's start with you, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Dr. Stephen Sunloff, Director of the Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which is part of the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm accompanied today by Mr. Michael Chappell, FDA's Acting Associate Commissioner for Regulatory Affairs. FDA appreciates the opportunity to discuss our ongoing investigation of the foodborne illness outbreak associated with Salmonella typhimurium, which has been found in peanut products produced by the Peanut Corporation of America, or PCA. Let me begin by expressing my personal and the agency's concern for people harmed in this outbreak of foodborne illness. FDA can and will learn from this outbreak what we can do to better assure the safety of our food supply moving forward. And it's important to note that the manufacturers play a critical role in ensuring the safety of the foods that they introduce into commerce. Strong food safety programs begin with the commitment and the strong oversight of managers and the promotion of strong food safety culture throughout the company. In the typical traceback process employed by FDA and our partners at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC notifies FDA when it identifies the possible foods associated with a foodborne illness through its epidemiological investigation. At that point, the FDA starts its investigation to identify the source of contamination. In the current case, FDA started its tracing process before CDC notified us of a strong epidemiological link to both help inform the epidemiological study and to shorten the time required to remove potentially contaminated foods from the market. Since early December of 2008, FDA has collaborated with the CDC, U.S. Department of Agriculture, and state public health departments to investigate the multi-state outbreak of human infections due to Salmonella typhimurium. Peanut butter was first identified as a possible source in mid-December, and on January 7th and 8th, based on preliminary epidemiological data, the FDA decided to investigate institutional food services sources of peanut butter rather than wait for more conclusive data. On January 7th, FDA made its initial contact with the King Nut Company, which distributes peanut butter manufactured by PCA to institutional facilities, food service industries, and private label companies. 2 days later, on January 9th, FDA initiated our inspection of the PCA manufacturing plant in Blakely, Georgia. As part of its epidemiological investigation, the Minnesota Department of Health tested an open 5-pound container of King Nut peanut butter obtained at a nursing home where 3 patients were sickened by the outbreak strain of Salmonella typhimurium. By January 10th, Minnesota health officials had found that peanut butter contained the same strain of Salmonella typhimurium. However, because it was an open container which could have been contaminated by someone or something else in the environment, these results did not confirm the Blakely plant as the source. So FDA expanded the testing of unopened containers of the same brand of peanut butter. And on January 19th, the Connecticut Department of Health tested an unopened container of King Nut peanut butter and found that it contained the same strain of Salmonella typhimurium associated with the illness linked to the outbreak. The fact that Salmonella typhimurium was confirmed in an unopened container of peanut butter indicated that peanut butter was contaminated when it left the Blakely processing plant. As I noted earlier, FDA had already initiated the inspection of PCA's Blakely plant on January 9th. We completed our inspection on January 27th. FDA's environmental sampling at the plant found 2 Salmonella strains, neither of which was associated with the outbreak. We are confident, however, that based on the investigations by the states, CDC, and FDA, that the Blakely plant is the source of contamination related to the Salmonella typhimurium outbreak. Further, FDA's review of the testing records revealed that there were instances in 2007 and 2008 where the firm distributed product in commerce which had tested positive for Salmonella. The first recalls began on January 10th by the King Nut Company and on January 13th by PCA. Expanded recalls followed on January 28th, and on January 28th, the firm voluntarily recalled all peanut products processed in its Blakely facility since January 1, 2007, and these included dry and oil-roasted peanuts, granulated peanuts, peanut meal, peanut butter, and peanut paste. Many companies that receive the peanuts and peanut products manufactured by PCA's Blakely facility have in turn conducted their own voluntary recalls. FDA is continuing to work with the purchasers of PCA's peanuts and peanut products to identify affected products and facilitate their removal from the market. FDA initiated inspections at the direct consignees of PCA and King Nut and continues to follow the distribution points of the products. FDA has established a web page to provide constantly updated information on the contamination and recall. It includes a searchable database to assist consumers in quickly identifying recalled products, and we encourage consumers to check this website frequently. FDA is reviewing with Health and Human Services our prior legislative requests to strengthen the agency's ability to protect Americans from foodborne illness, to determine whether those requests should be updated in light of our experience with this outbreak. At this time, we want to highlight the need for enhanced authorities in several areas. Number one, authority for FDA to issue preventive controls for high-risk foods. 2, authority for enhanced access to food records during routine inspections. 3, the authority for FDA to require food facilities to renew their registrations every 2 years and for FDA to modify the registration categories. In addition, we note that mandatory recall authority would be a useful tool that in some circumstances could result in faster removal of implicated products from commerce. In closing, Mr. Chairman, let me assure you that the FDA is working hard to ensure the safety of the food supply in collaboration with our federal, state, local, and international food safety partners. Although Salmonella typhimurium foodborne illness outbreak underscores the challenges that we face, the American food supply continues to be among the safest in the world, and food safety is a priority of the new administration. Please be aware that FDA is actively conducting both criminal and regulatory investigations related to this matter. To protect the integrity of these ongoing investigations and any related actions that might be pursued in the future, FDA must necessarily keep certain information confidential. It is also premature for FDA to draw conclusions about our preliminary observations or how the FDA's legal authorities might apply to those observations. But that said, we will do our best to respond to any questions that you may have. Thank you again for the opportunity to discuss these important public health matters.
Thank you. Mr. Chappell?
I don't have a...
No opening statement. Okay. Mr. Garrison, opening statement, please, sir. For 5 minutes. If you have a longer statement, we'll submit it to the record. Thank you.
Chairman Waxman, Stupak, ranking members Barton and Walden, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to offer this testimony today. I am here on behalf of Georgia's Commissioner of Agriculture, Tommy Irvin. I am Oscar Garrison, the Assistant Commissioner responsible for Georgia Departments of Agriculture's Consumer Protection Division. I have been directly involved with food safety at various levels for more than 15 years. I want to express my sympathy to the victims of the Salmonella outbreak that were here today, and also to the victims of foodborne illness in this country. The Georgia Department of Agriculture takes its commitment to food safety very seriously. We are more concerned about food safety and food being sold and processed in Georgia than anyone. To more effectively carry out our mission, the department is working with our state legislature on an amendment to the Georgia Food Act that would require regular testing by the food manufacturers in Georgia. This legislation would require processing plants to promptly report to the department the presence of any suspected contamination that would render food injurious to health or otherwise unfit for consumption. We encourage this committee to consider federal legislation that would require similar testing and reporting nationwide. We would like to have additional resources that would permit us to perform more inspections more frequently and comprehensively, along with product testing. But with tightening budgets, FDA, Georgia, and other states are stretching their resources about as effectively as we are able to. The department has requested, and our governor has recommended, $24 million to help fund a new laboratory to be located in South Georgia that would increase the product testing that our department is currently capable of performing. Currently, we can test about 4,500 food samples per year in our state laboratories. The Georgia Department of Agriculture is required through the Georgia Food Act to license and inspect food sales establishments and processing plants. We inspect approximately 16,000 facilities, ranging from processing plants to food storage warehouses to retail grocery stores. These inspections are conducted by a field force of approximately 60 inspectors. For many years, the Department of Agriculture, like agencies in other states, has had a contractual relationship with the Food and Drug Administration that requires us to conduct inspections at various food processing plants in Georgia that ship products into interstate commerce. Including the 2 inspections we conducted for FDA, our department conducted a total of 9 inspections at the plant between 2006 and 2008. During these inspections, our inspectors did not see any conditions that would raise a red flag indicating an imminent health hazard. An inspection is simply a snapshot in time. An inspector can only see what is there at that particular time that they are conducting the inspection. The department utilizes all the resources available to us to verify that food processors are operating responsibly. However, it is important to recognize that if processors do not act responsibly, and most certainly if they engage in criminal activity designed to avoid detection, the most rigorous and regular inspections would not readily detect a problem. We do not have all the facts, but once the Peanut Corporation of America had test results disclosing the presence of Salmonella, it was unconscionable for that company to ship the product, fail to recall the product, or fail to notify us or FDA. In closing, let me thank you for joining with us in an effort to improve the safety of this country's food supply. This tragic situation must serve as a wake-up call leading to reforms in the United States food safety network, and to additional funding that will permit food safety agencies at the federal, state, and local levels to more effectively perform their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrison. Ms. Cowart, your opening statement, please, for 5 minutes. If you have a longer statement, we'll insert it in the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Darlene Cowart, and you have my biographical information, I believe, in the record. My education has been in biology and food science, and I've worked in the agricultural, commodity, and food-related quality control area since completing my education. I'm currently president of JLA USA. Our company is one of several under the umbrella of JLA Global, which has facilities in the United States and abroad. JLA USA has testing facilities in 7 locations in the U.S. While the majority of our work is related to the peanut industry, we also provide services and testing to the almond industry and to some degree other food businesses. JLA USA maintains microbiology laboratories in Albany, Georgia, and Edenton, North Carolina. We provide a broad range of testing services to the agricultural, commodity, and food business. I understand the committee's concerns today relate to the recent Salmonella outbreak and therefore involve our microbiology testing. Mr. Chairman, when we test for Salmonella, we receive from the customer samples of the product to be tested together with the notification of the test that the customer wants us to perform. Specifically, we receive a request for analysis, which details the battery of tests desired by the customer and includes the customer's description of the product to be tested. And I believe you have copies of these also in the record. I've also furnished the committee staff a detailed description of the method we use to test for Salmonella, and I'll simply summarize that here. First, we pull a representative sample from the customer's containers to get a composite sample of 375 grams. That composite sample is then put into a sterile bag with other substances and incubated. We remove some of the mixture into the test tubes and for other procedures, and eventually we put the resulting substance into what is called a Vitus instrument. This machine's computer will automatically give us the result, either positive or negative for Salmonella. If the result is negative from the instrument, the negative certificate of analysis is sent to the customer. If the result is positive, it is what we call in our laboratory a presumptive positive, which must be confirmed because at this point several organisms can look like Salmonella but are not. However, since the test necessary to confirm the presumptive positive can take up to 5 days, we notify the customer of the presumptive positive by email and a telephone call. The confirmation process is quite technical and is also described in the paper that we furnished the committee staff. If after the confirmation we find that Salmonella is ruled out, we prepare a negative certificate of analysis for immediate release to the customer. If we do confirm that the presumptive positive is Salmonella, then we prepare and issue a positive certificate of analysis, and again, we notify the customer via a telephone call and an email alert. Mr. Chairman, all these procedures conform to the appropriate FDA and accepted laboratory standards. From January 1st, 2007 through September of 2008, we tested approximately 1,000 samples of product from Peanut Corporation of America. Of these in 2007, 6 samples were confirmed positive for Salmonella, and all the rest were negative. In 2008, we issued a total of 4 confirmed Salmonella positive certificate of analysis. I wish to emphasize, Mr. Chairman, that we at JLA do not take the samples from the product, nor do we have knowledge of the sampling procedure used by PCA for the samples we receive. With respect to the PCA samples, on each occasion that JLA received samples, the product samples would have been sent by mail to a JLA laboratory together with this request for analysis. The information provided on the request for analysis is the only information about the sample that JLA receives. Following a confirmed Salmonella positive issued to PCA in late August 2008, PCA discontinued sending product samples to JLA with one exception. We did receive a few test samples under the name PP Sales, and it is my understanding that this name is an internal designation within PCA and possibly refers to a different product line. JLA did test and obtain a confirmed Salmonella positive on a PP Sales sample sent to JLA in late September 2008. A positive COA was issued to PCA in early October 2008. In every instance when we found presumptive positives or confirmed positives, we reported the results to PCA by email and telephone, as I've described earlier. Salmonella can occur in raw agricultural commodities, and the accepted procedure for killing Salmonella in raw agricultural products is to heat the product to necessary temperature for the appropriate period of time, and that procedure is commonly referred to as the kill step. It is possible for Salmonella to be reintroduced into a product after the kill step. This can occur if the product comes in contact with contaminated raw ingredients, equipment, or personnel. Therefore, it is extremely important that all food manufacturing facilities maintain proper procedures and processes to ensure that recontamination does not occur. Salmonella in processed foods is preventable, and the application of an appropriate kill step combined with good manufacturing processes that eliminate the possibility of recontamination should result in a salmonella-free product. Microbiological testing for salmonella and other pathogens is an important evaluative tool that manufacturers can and should employ to ensure that their manufacturing processes are safe. Mr. Chairman, we are cooperating fully with the committee and your staff, and JLA pledges to continue working with the committee to make certain the food supply is safe for all consumers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Dybel, your opening statement, please. You just want to pull that mic over. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Stupak and members of the subcommittee. I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Charles Dybel, and I'm the president of Dybel Laboratories, a firm that specializes in microtesting food and personal care products and food safety consulting. We have 10 labs in North America with our headquarters in Illinois. For more than 40 years, Dybel Labs has provided scientific consulting services to food manufacturers around the country. My father, who remains active in the company today, started Dybel Labs when he was the dean of the University of Wisconsin's bacteriology program in the late 60s. He is widely recognized as one of the most knowledgeable scientists in the food industry, pioneering test methods still in use today and helping to shape food safety systems in America. In addition to microtesting food products and their ingredients, we work with many manufacturers to help evaluate their existing food safety programs, conduct risk assessments, perform plant audits, and offer training in food safety procedures. I'd like to give you a brief summary of Dybel Labs' dealings with Peanut Corp of America, or PCA. My company did not provide day-to-day testing services for PCA as we did for many of our clients. Instead, during 2007 and 2008, PCA's Plainview, Texas, and Blakely, Georgia facilities sporadically submitted samples containing peanuts to Dybel Labs to test. We have voluntarily cooperated with the Centers for Disease Control, the Food and Drug Administration, and this subcommittee to provide detailed records of the tests we performed for PCA's facilities, including samples from PCA's Blakely facility that tested positive for Salmonella in late September 2008, and our records of the immediate communications of those results to PCA's Blakely facility personnel. We also provided records detailing the requests that personnel at the Blakely facility made to us to retest existing samples and the negative results of those tests. Mr. Chairman, may I briefly supplement the written statement that is in the record?
Without objection, yes. Yes.
As you know, the story about PCA's actions becomes clearer almost by the hour. I have learned more in reading the FDA's website publications, the results of the investigation, recorded readings in newspapers, and in sitting today. I'm horrified in seeing the projections of the very damning emails in the screens to our left and right. In late January, the FDA and CDC requested that our labs provide them with cultures of ingredients we tested, and based on provisions of the 2002 Bioterrorism Act, we voluntarily submitted this work. In late January, counsel for this committee came to us as part of the subcommittee's investigation. We voluntarily and promptly provided staff counsel with all relevant documents and access to witnesses and myself within minutes of any request. On February 5th, 2009, we first saw and learned of the willful and gross negligence in sanitary manufacturing and good manufacturing practices contained in FDA's amended investigation report. At about that same time, we received samples from this PCA Texas facility and found them to be positive for Salmonella. We promptly provided that information to your committee and FDA. It is not unusual for Dybel Labs or for other food testing laboratories to find that samples clients submit do test positive for Salmonella and other pathogens. What is virtually unheard of is for an entity to disregard those results and place potentially contaminated products into the stream of commerce. I commend this subcommittee for examining what can be done to prevent an incident like this from happening again. As discussions progress on how best to reform our national food safety program, I urge you to look at the entire model used today. Our current food safety system relies heavily on inspections conducted by the FDA and the state agencies with which it contracts. This is a reactive response, rather than the comprehensive, systemic process needed to safeguard our food. The FDA should focus on quality control systems that minimize the potential for contamination to occur in the first place and develop mitigating strategies for correcting a potential issue before it impacts food safety. The FDA has a great deal of knowledge and understanding of how manufacturers can improve our food safety practices. Our nation's small and medium-sized companies in particular could greatly benefit from guidance documents from FDA, yet their job is to inspect, not to provide guidance, and so they don't. Yet the USDA routinely issues guidance documents to the food processors under its jurisdiction. FDA staff are reluctant to point manufacturers to the information and resources they need or provide direct guidance on how an observation can be corrected. As a result, opportunities to improve food production practices are missed. Testing, much like inspection, is only one piece of an overall food safety policy. It is the last chance to catch a problem. The larger piece, however, is on the front end, quality control systems that minimize the potential for the contamination to occur in the first place. Every year, millions of pounds of food products end up in landfills because of positive test results for harmful organisms. The problem here is not in finding a positive test result. The issue we are discussing here is a firm that found a positive, tried to test into compliancy, and released the product anyway. The attention to this issue of food safety is important as an opportunity to build stronger bridges between FDA and the food manufacturers. By taking a preventative, systemic approach, we can implement reforms that will go a long way towards ensuring that consumers have access to safe and wholesome foods. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the opening statements.